If you are finding this video, that probably means you're interested in the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Exchange Traded Fund, ticker symbol VTI, which is a really long way of saying you want a way to invest in the total US stock market. I'm going to go through an overview of what it is. I'm going to talk about why and how I invest most of my money in there, and I'm going to answer some common questions at the end. So stick around and we'll go through it together. All right, so VTI is an exchange traded fund offered by Vanguard. And I have a video that I will link somewhere, which is my video all about exchange traded funds. Feel free to watch that, where I talk about VTI also. But what that basically means is it's a fund comprised of a bunch of different stocks, and it also trades like a stock, meaning you can buy it throughout the course of a day and the price fluctuates with the ups and downs of the market. And what I like about this is it tracks the overall US stock market and the overall economy. This is things from the medical field and agriculture and construction and technology and all the sectors and industries. You get exposure to everything. You own a small slice of every one of those companies. And as I'm shooting this video here in September 2021, VTI is trading at about $230 per share. And with that, you get access to over 3,900 companies. 3,900. It's a lot. So first and foremost, the reason I invest so much of my own money in VTI is because I'm a big believer in the companies in the US economy. You think about all the innovation that our country has brought to the world, things like flight and the internet and all those exciting, life-changing technologies. I believe that's going to continue, and US companies are going to dominate into the future. So I want to be part of that. I want to capture that value and have ownership in it. VTI allows me to do that. I also read a book from John Bogle, the Vanguard founder. That's part of another video I just put out around my top 5 finance books of 2021. And he really made the case around low fees and how you should invest in funds that have the lowest fees, because over time that can have a significant impact on the amount of money you're able to accumulate. VTI is extremely low. It's just a 0.03% expense ratio, 3 basis points. So this is an overview of the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. So one big thing to see is the expense ratio is that 0.03%. That's awesome. And this is pretty neat. They give you kind of performance over time, including this hypothetical growth. So if in 2011 you went ahead and put in 10 grand, over the next decade that would have turned into 44,875. Okay, so how do I go about investing in VTI? Primarily, most of my ownership of that is in a brokerage account. And what this means is it's not a 401k or an IRA. This is an account I set up through Vanguard, and I basically take post-tax money, so money from a paycheck, and I put it into that account, and then I purchase shares of VTI. Now, you may be investing through a 401k or an IRA, and one thing to know is not all 401ks will give you the option to go and buy VTI. Usually they have some mutual funds, some of which may track the full market, many of which will track the S&P 500. So what I've actually done is when I have moved from a certain job to the next, I'll take that 401k and I will roll it over into an IRA where I can have a lot more flexibility of where I invest, and most of that money goes to VTI. Okay, so a few common questions I get about VTI. One would be, hey, can I lose all my money if I invest into VTI? In order for that to happen, all the companies in the US stock market would have to go effectively to zero, and I just don't think that's practical or likely. You go down here, you can see there's 3,900 180 stocks that comprise the VTI ETF. There's also $1.3 trillion of net assets here. So that's another point where, hey, is this risky or not? Well, there's over $1 trillion invested here. You're not alone. You're maybe $1,000 or whatever it could be. That's not going to make or break the success of this. Another huge question is, should I invest in the total stock market index or in an S&P 500 index? Something cool that Vanguard lets you do is you can hit compare, and this is going to let me add a benchmark or another fund. I'm going to go to VOO, which is the S&P 500 ETF. And this is really good, and a good exercise to kind of compare things like price, expense ratio, and we can go down to even returns and performance. And so that big question, should I go with the total market or the S&P 500? Well, you can see there's not significant huge divergence between their performance. And you can see even here that the top 10 holdings are identical, which is pretty fascinating. In fact, the S&P 500 ETF, those 10 companies make up an even bigger portion, getting close to that 30%. I've chosen, and trust me, I battled between what should I do. I have chosen to put most of my money in VTI because I do think that extra a bit of companies, I mean extra, I'm talking thousands of companies, and that exposure does give me a little bit less risk theoretically. And that's typically what I prefer. All right, and that's about it. And hey, here's something that I think might be fun for you to do. You could open a brokerage account with Robinhood or whatever platform you'd like. Consider buying a single share of VTI. And I think what that will do is it will bring your awareness to the ETF. You may start to check and see the stock price, the share price fluctuate, how it moves, daily, weekly, monthly. And that's something I did early. I didn't go all in. I just started to get awareness, and it helped me out a ton. I could see how news cycles affected, the price. I could see trends over time, and it really, really increased my knowledge. It actually gave me the confidence to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put in a lot more money, and I'm really happy that it did. Great. So, hey, if this was helpful, I would love for you to give me a like, consider subscribing. It would be really awesome to have you a part of the journey as I continue to share finance tips and the lessons I'm learning in real time about money with you all. Thanks so much. We'll be back soon.